Welcome, guys. It is Friday, October 7th. It is 11 a.m. on the West Coast. I was up late. So I woke up a little bit late today. So this is still a little early for me. I just had my coffee a few minutes ago. I am very excited about the guest I have right now. He's a great narwhal, a good friend of mine. I love his work, and I love his attitude, too. And just as a guy, as a man, I respect him and think he's a cool dude. So let's bring him in. We're going to talk about the Narwhal Shorts Compendium, which I think is a fantastic-looking book. I've only taken a small look at it, but he's going to tell us all about it and just kind of tell us what's been going on with the man, the myth, the legend. Some say lover. I don't know. Here he is, the great Narwhal. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. Last time I was on, do you remember you sang me a song?
Oh, yeah. I sang you the Narwhal song to the tune of Star Wars.
Yeah, that was so endearing. And then I wrote you a little rap, I just remember the beginning of it now, though. But it's like, he's Gabe El Taib. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He's Gabe
That's right.
El Taib. Something will make you see. But I forget the last part.
No one's having more fun than us. It's a great place to be. It's a great space to be in independent comics because of these great fans that are our patrons, and then they allow us to make the best art we've ever made. Like working in the mainstream at Marvel and DC. Yeah, I'm grateful for it. It was a blessing. A lot of skills learned, a lot of business contacts made, a lot of prestigious projects. But you're under the gun. You're under very tight deadlines, and these are some of the biggest corporations in the history of the world. There is a soullessness to some of that work. Churn it out, and beat the deadlines. And the great patrons of Comicsgate and independent comics, it's a renaissance of making an original American art form of great comics. And you've got a great one. But before we get right into it, is there anything else going on? Anything you'd like to promote or talk about real quick?
I don't know. Yeah, just on what you're saying, like Comicsgate and in general, what's happening. We're calling it the Iron Age now, which I really like. But it's from the ground growing up, whereas the corporate kind of thing is this top-down centralized control coming down, and you get it. It's not as like diverse in the ideas even, or the art styles or the writing, and so it's fun seeing what we have here is like just so much rich things to pick from, and it's there's ways that things will explode bigger than others, and that's even interesting too, and everyone's kind of figuring it out as they go. Anyone can enter, anyone can launch a book. And I just tweeted this morning because I was talking a little bit about it on a live stream. I was like, is there such thing as a comic that's so bad it's good? And people listed a few of them. Like there's a Frank Miller All-Star Batman. Everyone says that
Right.
Where he calls Robin a retard and stuff.
Yeah, from 2005. I think the quote is, "What are you, some kind of retard?" or something like that. Or
Then he says,
"Can you imagine DC
Batman.
Can you imagine in the age of Twitter, SJW's DC publishing that?
Yeah, I know. It's so weird. And that's like funny because that's Frank Miller almost flexing in a whole different way. Like he did all like the serious stuff, and he made some of the best books of all time. And then he made the one that everyone, if you try and list what's one that's so bad it's good, he made the one that's the top of that list too. So he's like conquering all different facets of how you can be good.
Right. You're absolutely right. I mean, that's what art is all about. Ultimately, my goal with art is to make uplifting art that inspires people and tells them about hope and how you can slay dragons in life. That's ultimately what I want to do with my art. But it is definitely about self-expression. And I think the great thing about these fans, these patrons here, and I know what they believe in, is liberty. Liberty of thought, that no one is going to police our thoughts and tell us, we're going to make this stuff, we're going to put it out in the market, and the market will judge if enough people want to buy it or not. And it seems it's going, it doesn't matter where you are in life, it matters the direction you're headed. Because today, the moment is just that, and then the moment's over and we're on to the next moment. So direction is always more important than location. And if you look at where we were yesterday, and you look at where we are today, you can extrapolate that out by the weeks and the months and the years. We're getting better. We're increasing at an increasing rate. And I think as long as we're willing to put the long hours and the hard work in, I think we will be rewarded for it, So I love it. So
iron sharpens iron. That's been happening for a while, and I've noticed.
Yes.
And David Brohawk in the chat, by the way, that's awesome that he's here. Or David
Oh,
Williams.
he my token black friend, Narwhal
Yeah.
for shizzle. So yes, David is actually
Um,
teaching me ebonics in our spare time. A lot of people don't know that, dog. So
nice. Classic. Get out of you get the N-word pass yet? I don't know. I'm just kidding.
oh, I've had it, baby, the whole time. Come on. Remember, I'm half
Um,
Mexican and Arab. I'm half
yeah,
Mexican and Arab, and to like SJWs, that's like throwing sand in their eye. They don't know what to do with me. I can do anything, and they're like, "Can we call him racist?" It's like, I don't know. His father's from an Arab socialist dictatorship. I don't think we can call him a racist. So I can do anything. I have a superpower. And then
yeah,
if they
nice.
really want to get spicy, I'll just start speaking in Spanish. Then they get even more confused. So
Yeah. In the chat, they're saying the soy age has ended. Yeah, I
right.
agree.
Yeah.
On what we were talking about a little bit too, of this like kind of grass growing up and these books and representing, like there's a fun aspect of it is that like everyone brings themselves to it. Any work will like represent the person in ways like it's not like it's not literal and it's not direct. It's like very subtle, but it's real fun how people's personality bleeds into what they work on. And I think that's true with you and Truth, Justice, and the American Way, and you and David Williams, the collaboration there. You know, that's like it is like felt in the way that it comes out, and that's kind of fun too because it's like a spin where you're doing a superhero story, and some of the characters are like protos for other characters. Like there's the Superman proto, there's the Batman proto, the Wonder
Sure.
Woman proto, but then it's like you guys are doing that. It's your spin on it. It's your personalities that are getting
Yeah.
to play in the sandbox, and that's like a huge part of what's awesome about like the new indie movement, the Iron Age, as you say.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like telling the fans and the potential customers, hey, watch me have fun. And then you're going to have fun watching me have fun. You know, we're going to make this art. And the main thing we're thinking about is like, man, this is fun. You know,
Yeah,
this is really fun to tell stories like this. And that's it. And I think it's this, of course, Comicsgate had to happen. If it wasn't us, it just would have been other people, maybe. I don't know if people are brave enough to do this. A lot of them aren't. They shrink because they're afraid of the whisper networks and the SJW is doing something. But to me, how could this not have happened? Because when you're telling stories in the SJW way, you're telling them with fear. You're like, well, I can't say this, or I can't do that, or you know what I mean? It's not politically correct, and you're not dealing in any sort of truth as an artist.
yeah, yeah. Yourself. It's like
One
self.
thing about art for sure, it's about truth. You know, that's
Yeah,
why people love art. They love comedians. They love novels and movies because you see the art and you go, yeah, that is true. Kind of like Jerry Seinfeld, right? His jokes are great because they're true. What's the
yeah,
deal with airline food? And everyone's like, yeah, he is right. Airline food is crappy and blah, blah, blah. And so, like, when we do our art, they're like, yeah, that is true. Being brave is important and overcoming evil is important. So, when you do the SJW art, you're never telling the truth. You're fundamentally dishonest, just virtue
yeah,
signaling.
yeah. I've noticed that too. That like there's just a baseline of you can tell if people are, you know, somewhat connected to reality. You could call that like red pilled, or if they're
Right.
like a little bit more lost, a little bit more brainwashed. And if they're brainwashed, they're kind of not going to be able to even make that good of art anymore. I think that kind of happened to Stephen King. Like he got more and
Oh,
more
yeah.
brainwashed over the years, and his stuff lately it doesn't seem that good. I haven't really been following it that closely. I've been following his tweets here and there, and I'm like, dude, with tweets that bad, you can't be that good of a writer anymore. I'm pretty sure.
Well, the writing on his tweets was definitely bad. So, but
Yeah,
yeah, the virtue signal comes from a place of cowardice. I have no sympathy or empathy for them because what they're doing is cowardly. They're like, hey guys, I'm going to pretend I believe this position so you'll validate me. That's
yeah,
utterly cowardly and utterly narcissistic, you know.
yeah. And it's
So
like they're kind of self-censoring anything that would be interesting. They're kind of pulling that back because they're like you're saying they're afraid to do it. And
right.
yeah, on the flip side, just a little bit of like courage or attachment to reality or freedom from just the corporate bullshit that is really empowering and
Right.
that's a huge advantage that we have. Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah. And again, just to kiss a little more behind of our patrons, of our fans, you give us the freedom to be creative. And as artists, if we're not creative, I mean, we're not anything. That's the essence of art is creativity. And when I have to bow and scrape to corporate masters to do what they say I should do, the Superman and Batman, all that, I'm only getting to be creative insofar as I'm illustrating. But one of the key, the most important part of comics is the storytelling you accomplish with the illustrating. It's fine to have good illustration skills, but that is less important than your storytelling skills in your illustration. See Will Eisner, master illustrator, but nobody can touch his storytelling. Literally, no one's a better storyteller than him. It's why our highest awards are named after him. You know what I mean? And how can you tell a story creatively and honestly if you can't be honest? You can't tell a story if you're virtue signaling. So it's
I've read some of the Will Eisner stuff. It's like it couldn't get published today. It absolutely could not get published today. It's it's kind of like it might get called edgy, or it's a little bit edgy, but it's very real, very true, very unflinching. Unflinching, you could say.
Well, and that brings me to the work you've been doing. You know, your work. One thing I think we all notice about you and love so much is you are uncompromising in what you do. You seem to just say, you know what? I'm Narwhal. This is what I like to write. This is what I like to draw. If you don't like it, hey, sorry. You know, maybe it's, but that's what I noticed about your work right off the bat is that you are true to what you're feeling and thinking artistically. And I love that. Oh, we got a boop. We got a friend in here. Another great artist, but he's going to, the great Shant Andretti. Hey, Shant, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, brother. How you doing? I'm just here because I saw my brother streaming,
All right.
Look at both you guys drawing up a storm. This is so heartwarming.
Right. Yeah, this is what do I have on the screen there? I think that's page I don't remember of Truth, Justice, America. I think it's page 4. I think those are colors in Photoshop, and it seems that Shant is doing, what is that, acrylic or gouache, or what are you doing there for
this is acrylic right here. And I have to tell you, man, the new artwork you've been showing for Truth, Justice, and all the new stuff that we're doing, I can't see enough of it. And it's so good. And I was telling Narwhal, I don't know if he's back at his place yet. I don't think he is. But that I've got to see a photo of all of his books laid out. All of his, 11, possibly 12 books laid out. A huge aerial shot of them, man.
Right. Yeah.
Because we were talking. Yeah, Shant has that super powerful photo of all his original paintings because every page is painted original, exists in the real world. He lined them all up on like a couch and a table and took a picture, and it's like very special. I keep saying like it's very awesome because almost no comics are like that. And seeing the work there all in one photo, and then he was comparing it to like to that I have like 11 books out now. So if I could, I should throw all those on a table and take a picture. I was like, maybe I should. I don't think I've done that yet.
Yeah, we'd love to see the oeuvre of one Narwhal. That would be amazing. Hey, Sean, you sent me that Justin Trudeau video the other day. Did you email that to me, or how did you send it to me? Or was it just you shared it in StreamYard?
I emailed it to you. Do you need me to share it here?
Please, because that has to be seen. This is a non sequitur. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But this is one of the funniest things I've seen in ages. And as we wait for Sean to find that, David Brohawk Williams is being a boomer. Instead of just asking you a question, Narwhal, he has to tell you first that he has a question. Dave, just ask the question. Just ask.
What's the question, David? I was going to bring that up too. So yeah.
Will we see Justice's face at least once? Right now, I'm going to tell you, should I say yes? Should I say no? Should I say it's a mystery? What is the best business answer there? What is the best answer to make myself money?
You gotta buy it to find out. That's the best business.
There you go. Look at David coming in. You will have to buy the book to find out exactly. I backed Narwhal last night, number 372. Thank you. Hail Caesar, the great Caesar. And then La Radmuel says, I back Narwhal's anthology books. Can't wait to get both of them. Now, Shant made this video the other night. Shant Andretti, amazing illustrator, artist, And he's a renaissance man when it comes to 80s and 90s action. Wednesday nights on this very channel. Subscribe. Make sure you subscribe right now and hit the like on this video, share the link. But come back here every Wednesday night at 7 Pacific and watch the great Jericho Green. He's got a huge YouTube channel. Jericho Green, Shanta Jetty, and myself, and we break down awesome movies like Lethal Weapon, all of Van Damme stuff, Steven Seagal stuff. And we did Blade the Vampire Hunter this week. And we're going to do The Crow. We're doing spooky movies for October. So we're doing The Crow, then Alien, then John Carpenter's thing. But we are laughing, crying, making funny accents and voices, improv comedy. And dude, we go 3-4 hours. We did Batman 1989. And we break these movies down because we love them. We make fun of these movies because we love them. We actually love them. It's not ironic. So if you want to see crazy stuff like that, this cultural patrimony that unites us all as Westerners, as Americans, a lot of us, check that out Wednesday nights. Double Impact. Shanta and JD, Jericho Green, and myself. Anyway, Shanta shared this with me this Wednesday, and I couldn't stop laughing. This is apropos of nothing, but you just have to see this.
Sound that I think about families. The biggest, most important economic policy this government, if reelected, would move forward. You'll forgive me.
It's too good. I got to see it again. You'll forgive me.
The guy's reaction is pretty funny.
Sean, you said this really happened.
So he was on this interview show, and it was French. It was all in French, and so I saw a recent talk that he gave where he was basically saying, someone asked him, like, what are you going to do about economics and all this other, the economy situation we've got right now in Canada? And he did the weirdest pivot. And he said something like, something to the effect of, I'm not concerned about the economic situation. I'm concerned about families. And it just drove families crazy because they go, what do you think our greatest concern is? Which is economic. And so he was getting panned for it. And so it cracked me up. I was like, I got to make a video where I dub him in and clean up the audio. So,
That was hilarious. That was very, very well done, friend. Yeah, Shanta edited that by fixing the audio. And then maybe he took a few liberties with the speed of the fall.
I certainly did.
Those records are sealed. Yes.
And then let me see here.
Let's see.
Did you guys see let's do this and then I'll ask my other question.
Yeah.
I was doing another segue. But...
King Narwhal, do you exclusively do digital art or do you work on paper like us old guys still do? Also, who are your top 3 influencers? David, no, that's 2 questions, David. You said you had a question. See, this is what I have to deal with working with David. He's like, I got 1 question, So go ahead, Narwhal. Take it.
Oh, yeah. Well, to answer question 1, I do pretty much all digital for the comics. In my 20s, I did some traditional, and I draw traditional every night in my sketchbook. And my traditional stuff looks way different. And I want to do a traditional comic, but I got one thing I have to do is I have to get like a desk because I hate drawing horizontally on a horizontal desk because it hurts my neck. So I got to get like a tilted desk, and I don't have one yet. So but it's just like little things kind of holding me back. It goes slower. I'm sure everyone knows that's one reason you do digitals, for the convenience. But actually, it's kind of funny because the digital, it kind of developed its own style that I do because of Control Z, because of undo, which you can't do on traditional. But if I'm drawing digital, I'll draw like one stroke like 10 times and hit Control Z 9 times. And then on the 10th, I'll keep it. And then I'm doing that like, what are you saying?
Sorry, I was going to comment on your Control Z. So for those of you that don't know, in Photoshop and most drawing programs on the computer, when you make a mistake, you hit Control Z and it'll undo. And I have literally been at my analog, that means regular table with a regular pencil and pen and paper, and literally made a mistake drawing and then made the Control Z motion with my left hand.
I know.
Like,
I do that too.
Like I can't, I got to use my eraser.
Yeah, that's something they kind of mentioned that early. I learned that early is like if you're drawing digitally, you got your offhand on the keyboard doing shortcuts like constantly. And once you get all that down, it becomes second nature. and it's like kind of cool, but you kind of forget about it, and then you accidentally are doing that in real life when you don't even have a keyboard, though, when you're trying to draw traditionally.
Now, I'd like to talk about people learning traditional and digital, but I want you to tell us what this book is about, because we're 20 something minutes in here, so now we've got a little a crowd growing. Let's tell them how much fun they're going to have when they get this book, how much enjoyment. Why is this book great? Because it looks gorgeous. I don't know a lot about it. Educate me.
Okay, and I want to finish David's question really fast too. The three, I wrote it down here to remember, to make sure, but 3 artists that influenced me the most. It's Bengus, Bengal, and Tim Sale. Bengus
I was hoping the third one also had a B to start their name.
I know. Bengus and Bengal. Bengus,
Bendel, Bolin, Bendis, Brian Polito, just all the B's. He's a B guy, So
I know anyone who starts with a B, I'm into that. My favorite comic year is 1986. I like Dark Knight and Watchmen because that's the year I was born. But then my brother was born in 1988, and I've been reading Animal Man because I tweeted out the other day. I was like, "What's some classics I should read?" And people were like, "Read Grant Morrison Animal Man," which I guess is 1988. I started reading that. That book's awesome. So I'm super into that.
That Grant Morrison fella. I think he has a future in writing.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, and that's Karen Berger too. I guess she went over to Europe in like the mid 80s, got every great writer from Europe, and then brought him back to write for DC.
Right.
And, so she's like kind of famous, and she might be a little bit of a genius herself for pulling all that off.
Absolutely. She, Karen Berger, for those of you out there that don't know, she was the leading force in creating Vertigo Comics. Now, you young bucks, you may not know what Vertigo Comics is, because Andy Corey, a woke monster who worked for DC Comics until they shit-canned him during COVID. And we got a big story about Andy Corey one day, Andy. Hi, Andy. I hope you hear this. He has the distinction of destroying Vertigo Comics with his super woke launch like 3-4 years ago, 2018. They launched all woke America Sucks, White Men Suck books, and they sold they sold the horrible numbers. It was all canceled right away, and then Vertigo was just folded. So that's like the most prestigious label DC Comics ever had. Tons of Eisner Awards, some of the most critically acclaimed books for 20-something years. And then some dummy SJW editors like, hey, what if it was like this, but it was all woke, huh? And they went overboard, and nobody bought it, and the end. So, my goodness. Yeah. Karen Berger, genius. Andy Curry, opposite of that.
He ruined it. All things come to an end because of SJWs.
Right. Absolutely.
But yeah, to talk a little bit about the Shorts Compendium. So these have been accumulating over the years, and because one thing I've kind of noticed is I usually will write 2 days a week, and I'm drawing 5 days a week, and yeah, I don't really take days off these days, but I'll sit down and write like a longer story. You let your subconscious, you think about it the night before, you sleep on it, you let your subconscious like kind of mess with it. You wake up with a cup of coffee and you get the caffeine high. And I got 4 hours from my first sip of coffee where I can actually like connect to the nether region and get ideas or whatever. And so then I'm like typing. And then, so that's like an average writing day. And then I'm like exhausted a little bit and I feel very accomplished if it's a good writing day. Sometimes it doesn't work and then you're kind of depressed. But then meanwhile with shorts, you actually can't do that. It doesn't work. Like they're impossible to think of except for like apples falling on your head is what, or it's like very accidental. And you're like, oh yeah. And so you'll think of them like once a year or whatever. You might think of a good short story. So these have kind of been, accumulating over the past like decade. And one of them, Naked Samurai, is like the first comic I ever drew that I thought was actually good. And then like even read it again 6 months later, still thought it was good. So because that happens when you're developing, you'll draw stuff and you're like, yeah, this is great. And then you look at it 6 months later and you're like, it's trash. Why did I think that was so great? But now what I'm doing is great. And then 6 months later, you're like, that was still trash. I'm still learning. And so that's always happened. I think I was like 27 or 28, drew Naked Samurai. I sent it to, I was still kind of trying to break into the mainstream industry and not knowing, I guess nobody really knows. You're just grasping at straws, whatever you can kind of do to break in. But I emailed that short story to Bob, what's his name? Bob, who's one of the big Batman editors?
Bob Harris?
No, it's
Bob. Was it Shrek?
Yeah, Bob Schreck.
Okay.
And he emailed back and he's like, great short, kid. And then he kind of ignored me after that. And I was like, damn, I thought this was my big break, this little short. And I kind of realized in hindsight, it seems like the big break, it sort of doesn't happen. But what does happen is, like, if you actually want to break in, it's not going to be a short story that does it. It's going to be like a graphic novel that does it. Like if you bust out a full graphic novel, dedicate your life for years to do that, then you're kind of going to get somewhere. And that's kind of what happened to me with Earthbound. Did start getting some traction and building an audience and everything. So these stories go way back. Some of them are a little more recent. One of them I'm remastering, which is the Robozan one, which is an idea like a developing AI that's represented by monkeys at a typewriter trying to type Shakespeare. So a monkey types, if it's gibberish, they murder him. But if there's like one word or whatever that's close to what Shakespeare is, then they take him to a breeding tent. They give him like 1,000 kids, and then they make those kids type. and they do that for 10 million years. And then like the monkeys start getting like really into Shakespeare. They get really horny, but they get smarter and smarter kind of. And then halfway through, the monkeys are like, oh shit, we're developing so fast. We can kind of see where this is going. And in about 1 million years, we're going to hate humanity and try to destroy them. But at this point, we still like humanity. So we need to take steps to try and help humanity now. So the AI kind of forks. So then the end of the story, as I did it the first time, which appeared in the first sketchbook, it ends with like they send one monkey back into the real world. It's almost like Terminator. Like he enters the real world to try and help this like coming apocalypse from the super powerful AI that's going to destroy the world or whatever. And then it says to be continued. And it drops him in the jungle because that's where the AI won't be able to immediately like just murder him. So I never finished it because I didn't know where to go with it from there. Like maybe it would be like a super epic graphic novel and you could kind of do it that way. But I was like, you know what, it'd be cool if there was a way to wrap up that story, have it actually have a conclusion. And so I was thinking like the original one was 12 pages. Like, can I do a 20-page version and have it work as a one shot? And just last week, then I was like, I actually can't add on to it. I have to rewrite from the beginning. So I am going to do that. I'm going to do a little comic jam with a couple of my buddies, and we're going to try and bust out this 20-page comic in like 2 or 3 days in November. And we're doing it all from scratch with a new script, and it's going to be super awesome. So like there are like these shorts, these one shots in here that I think people are going to really like 20 pages of super dense, fun comic kind of mayhem. The way shorts, they have a little bit of freedom that longer stories don't, where they can be, kind of a little more weird. They can hit emotions. You always want to hit emotions, but shorts can hit like kind of abstract emotions where you don't even know what you're feeling, but it's affecting you, and you try and like unpack it later. And there's a lot of famous shorts that are like that stand the test of time. And there's a couple of them that I adapt in this short story collection too. One of them is The Mask of Red Death by Edgar Allan Poe, which the main reason I adapted that is because it's like kind of prescient, or it's prescient. It's very of the time because we're just dealing with this COVID bullshit. And The Mask of Red Death is about a outbreak of a disease, and this prince sequesters himself with his elite buddies and has a 40-day party, or maybe a 6-month party even. And meanwhile, everyone's dying outside. And then they have a huge ball at the end of the 6 months, and then this like ghostly red figure comes in and murders everyone by like giving them the disease. So there's a version of that I wrote that's like, it's kind of about Gavin Newsom at the French Laundry when him and his buddies making everyone wear masks outside, and they're just having this big epic dinner without masks. And I just kind of have the Red Death come in and murder them.
Oh, I live out here in California. Hey, listen, it's all right that gasoline's almost $7 a gallon. That's no problem. Gavin Newsom's going to send us all free money to make up for it. You can just print money I don't think anything could happen when you just make up all kinds of fun money out of the thin air. Here's our boy, Gavin Newsom, during the middle of the lockdown at the French Laundry. But guys, this is one of the hardest restaurants in the world to get into. I think the tip for the alcohol, paid for with my tax money here in California, the tip, not the booze itself, was $3,000.
Damn.
So
and that's they're doing that while the rest of us have to wear masks. Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry. What now?
Well, that's the photo that inspired the adaptation of Poe's story.
Right. So let them eat cake, as they say. Let's see. We're not grumpy Gus's around here. When I did the 60-day closeout for the great Truth, Justice, American Way, you have to, when you're on Indiegogo on the website, you tell it, I want to run my campaign for 30 days or whatever. And what we've done around here at Comstate, we run it for 30, and then we have a 30-day closeout. And in that closeout, you have a limited amount of time. You have to click on it and change. I got to change it to another 30 days. So in the middle of the show, Narwhal was with me with some other people. I asked, how long does it take to do this procedure on the computer? Because if I let these 5 minutes run out or whatever, I'm boned. The campaign would be over and I can't extend it. Let's see Narwhal, youngish still, handsome, very jovial, very kind. He's the kind of guy you'd like to sit around in a rainy day in a coffee shop and have a coffee with. He seems nice, but let's watch how devious he is. Let's watch this.
And we haven't did it 60 days yet. I'm sorry, I have to say that because I'm starting to get stressed out. What time? What's our time?
How much time? How much? Okay, I'm not going to goof it. It says 11:54 on my phone. Am I wrong?
Okay, good. No, you're good. Okay. Just making sure. I just want to keep saying that. So I can
how long does that little process take of extending it? Just like 30 seconds, right?
It takes about 7 minutes.
How dare you? How dare you? You knew my phone said 6 minutes. 6 minutes to midnight. And you just look at him, slouched in his chair with his little glasses. I'm the smart, artistic, nice guy. Oh, you tried to terrify me. Well, it's not going to work. Let's see the end of this real quick. Yeah, just like 30 seconds, right?
It takes about 7 minutes.
No, but don't you dare say that. This mother lover is quiet for 20 minutes back there. He chimed in with that.
He was waiting, man. He's a
how dare you, Narwhal? How dare you? How dare you?
Legend.
The other funny thing is, Gabe, when you launched, I think it was on the first day, so day one launch, you were live for 30 minutes. You weren't live, but you thought you were for 30 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
And I was the guy to like catch that and save you.
That was amazing. That was amazing. We launched Truth, Justice, American Way. And but the night before I had made a StreamYard stream to talk to David Williams about Truth, Justice live, like on camera like this, but it wasn't public. Nobody could see it. But I used it as a video conference so I could show him some art or colors, or so he could show me some pencils. I don't remember. And I didn't delete that stream. I just left it there. So the next morning when we launched Truth, Justice, American Way, I sent that link to last night's stream to David and Narwhal and Mike Barron and all my friends. And we're sitting in this private stream that isn't on YouTube for half an hour. I launched this book. Me and David's book. We launched it. No fans, no customers, no nothing for half an hour. But I didn't despair. I didn't get upset because the number 0, no people watching, no people like buying or anything, was very telling to me. Because if there were 4 people, I'd be like, oh crap, nobody's interested. But the fact there was 0, I'm like, there's a technical problem. And I didn't know what it was, but I knew there was a technical problem. And my son was in the chat on the real stream to go live and like promote the book. And he was telling people, hold on, guys, he'll be there soon. I don't know what's wrong.
No.
He said he felt bad for me, but we got it sorted thanks to Narwhal. So you redeemed yourself after sucker punching me. So Narwhal, see, one thing you should have thought of before you sucker punch me like that, we will meet in person one day. We will meet in person.
Yeah. You, me, and Mark Brooks.
That guy. That guy. Let's you want to delve into that for just a minute? Do we want
to or actually real quick, I want to talk to you guys about Kanye West. He's been in the news.
Oh yeah, love it.
I didn't see his interview, but I've seen clips and I always love it. I really like Kanye West. He's awesome. but I don't know.
Yep.
I absolutely love Kanye West. He is a genius, in my opinion.
Yeah, he does seem like he's legitimately a genius, and he's saying stuff. It's always outside the box, and it's always like kind of simple. Like there was one where he said Jared Kushner is doing fake peace deals just to make money, and I was like, whoa, man, that's like way outside the box, and kind of, but like pretty only like a genius would say that. Whether or not you're even right or wrong, it's like it takes a lot of insight and balls to say that.
A lot of chutzpah, as they say in Yiddish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now people are like joking. They're like, now they're gonna assassinate him, and I'm like, damn, it does like. Jeez. It's so close. He did another thing too. They're like, how close is Kim to the Clintons? Because he's like, I didn't realize how close she was to the Clintons. And they're like, how close? And he's like, so close that they say, hey, can you help us push the vaccine or push the jab or something like that? Like,
yeah, wow. I saw those clips on Tucker. I need to watch the whole thing, but I think I'll have to wait a few days. But yeah, the clips are going around. They're amazing. I've loved Kanye West for years. When he first came out, his first album was called College Dropout. So I just brushed him off. I'm like, oh, great. Another guy leading the Black and Hispanic communities astray, because I'm Mexican. And there was a lot of poverty in the backgrounds of our families and stuff like that in different parts. And I don't like the ghetto mentality. And I thought that name of the album, College Dropout, I didn't realize what he was talking about. Then a couple years later, I started to hear some of his lyrics and this, and like, oh, no, he sees through the matrix. He's bucking the system. He wasn't telling people to drop out of college, become a gangster, become an idiot and all that. And I just assumed that wrongly. So I have apologized to Kanye, though. He was very gracious when I apologized to him. So
yeah, you can look back on his history, and it's interesting the whole way through. Like, he was the guy who said George Bush hates Black people. Cut to 20 years later, he's wearing a White Lives Matter shirt. Both those statements are like equally meaningful at the time. And he's the one to deliver it, So.
Right. Do we want to watch this or not? It's 3 minutes. What do we think? No?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Okay. Yeah. So Ethan Skyver, I guess you can call it a debate with our friend Mark Brooks, total SJW illustrator for Disney Marvel. If you want to see what happens if you reject masculinity and you embrace pure soy at 9,000 miles an hour. This is, look at I've enjoyed a Coke Zero myself. I don't play Jenga in my office, though. If you look to the bottom right there, I wonder how high you can get those Coke Zero cans. You know what I mean?
Oh, damn, look at that.
That is yet to be determined. I bet he could reach the ceiling before it's all said and done. So go little Marky. Let's see what real stoicism and masculinity looks like. All right, here we go. Let me make sure it has volume first. All right, ready, and here we go. Whoa! So this is a great example of who these cancel culture SJWs are. It's really amazing to me to see someone this unhinged, someone this hateful, and acting crazy and so insecure, projecting, lying, sputtering, and then threatening actual illegal violence. To me, Ethan Van Sciver, John Malin, Shane Davis, threatening someone with actual violence to beat our asses at a convention. No one has threatened this guy at all. But that's who these people are. That's why ultimately the SJW is the communist on it. That's why in the history books you see they have the gulags. You see that Stalin and Mao, and that's the ideology. You can go ahead and laugh at me and think I'm being ridiculous. How do you think it starts? Go read your history books. How do you think Marxism and all that starts? It starts in the arts and education. So this is outrageous to me. I don't have much to say about it, but it doesn't surprise me. That's who these people are. That's always who they are. What do you think canceling is? Canceling is metaphorical violence against your life's work. They want to cancel you as a way of killing you, but it's symbolic. They kill your job. They kill your reputation. They freeze the bank account. All that stuff. Canceling is authoritarian violence on a metaphorical scale. But believe me, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. This is what these people believe. Agree with them or be destroyed. Guys, you have to stand up to bullies. You have to stand up to cancel culture. Always follow the law. Never break the law, but you must stand up to these bullies. They don't just get to declare us all racist, bigot, sexist, homophobes, and then call it good. And then we lose everything. No, we push back. We put legally, always, thoughtfully, but we push back. You do not let these people go around and terrorize you. No way. Pathetic. Mark Brooks is pathetic. Now watch the clip here. Totally crazy. 55 more seconds, I think.
Okay.
Shane, John, if you want to come see me in person, come see me. I'm going to assume if you're standing in front of me that I'm going to take all this weight out game and beat your fucking ass. So other than that, stay the fuck away from me. Are you going to be in New York Comic Con? Are you going to be in New York Comic Con in 3 days?
No, I'm not going to New York Comic Con.
Oh, why don't you get a ticket? Come see me.
Just what happens?
Mark, you want to invite me at New York City Comic Con? Is that what you're saying?
Come on, coward.
You insult my fucking 6-year-old autistic daughter.
So, I mean, what the hell is that, dude? What in the world?
He's crazy. This might be a little bit different of what he's got going on. He's got like maybe mental illness or something, but there's a weird phenomenon where people will get, I guess there's a word for it. They call it white knighting, but people get more mad than the people they think they're defending. So like they might get mad that your boy Zach says something mean about Mags Visaggio. So then the weird white knight, like old editors at Marvel or these soy white dudes, they get enraged and they like will want to like fight Zach or whatever, or start a fight with him at a con and call the cops, all that kind of weird stuff. And meanwhile, like Mags doesn't care that much, or in the problem is in her case, she does sick the dogs, or she does encourage that stuff. But a lot of people, the minorities that they think they're defending don't care. And then they're the ones, it's these weird white people that are the worst, most egregious SJWs getting all like militaristic about their shit.
This is often how these white liberal saviors see themselves. It is very racist, actually.
It's a form of white supremacy.
It is white supremacy, which is weird because on the conservative side, we're not SJWs. Or not, I won't even say we're all conservatives because people watching this are not necessarily conservative. You're just not woke. You're just not cancel culture people. Fine. If you're a Democrat and you're not cancel culture, dude, I'm totally 1,000% cool with you. You be whatever you want. Just don't be a cancel person. But this is this white supremacy of the left-wing liberal savior that Shanth, you're Indian and Puerto Rican, and Gabe, you're Mexican and Libyan. You don't know how much Narwhal hates you. I will save you. Like, that is so dehumanizing to me.
Yeah, it's offensive to me because I know exactly how much Narwhal hates me. He sent me a lengthy email, and it was point by point how much he hates me. No, the thing about these people need to understand is they are following in a grand tradition of white knights. The Dixiecrats had their own white knights back in the day, and that's what these people are about. The same white knights who went after Emmett Till. And this is the thing that I think people need to grasp about what we're trying to do here. It takes so much time to get good. It takes so much time to create books. In Narwhal's case, I don't even know if we can count how many in Gabe's case. In Narwhal's case, 11 in my case. I'm on my third self-published art book, and then all the books I've done as a freelancer and illustrator. You shouldn't have time to do this kind of stuff if you're working to improve yourself.
Right. I mean, look, right now, Shanth, you're painting right now. I'm off camera playing you guys a video because I'm working on other Truth Justice pages. We
got a backer? Did we get a backer over here?
Yeah, since we started streaming, we've gotten 3. So, yeah, this is the Gabe.
Nice. Yeah, let's get that campaign up. Holy cow.
Yeah. I want you guys, like this picture we're looking at, to be the white savior for Narwhal. A lot of people don't know this. Narwhal's over half black. A lot of people don't know that. So if you feel like being a white savior today, if you feel like being a white savior, save him. Back his book today. Oh no, he's roboting.
You're roboting.
Everything you said for the last 30 seconds, you got to repeat all that. Like the last 30 seconds, nobody heard it. You robot it. Well, at least I didn't hear it.
Am I back now?
You're clear to me. You're clear to me.
Okay. I just said we're all African American if you go back far enough.
That's
possibly yes. That's the theory.
Possibly,
yes.
Yeah. I think the big thing too about this stuff is that what we do. When I was looking at this book, I grew up being a huge fan of Metal Erlang, and I grew up being a huge fan of all of the indie books. And this is sort of like this is the kind of thing that only Comicsgate can fund, which is, I mean, right now you've got someone who is not playing for a social credit score, but is playing to the crowd, playing to the audience. And let me be Evel Knievel and jump the Grand Canyon, and you guys watch and enjoy the risks I'm taking with this work. And it's always quality. We've gotten so many quality books. I have Earthbound 1, Earthbound 2, and as I often tell Narwhal, I've got right in my line of sight his adaptation of Nosferatu, which I will tell you is my favorite comic book adaptation or exploration of even these characters, of even these vampire characters. His framing, his composition, his pacing makes you forget that you're reading. It is this visual literacy where you just go into the story. You hear the sounds. You hear the wheels turning on the cart, on the concrete, or on the gravel. That's what makes Narwhal's work so great. And I want to see this book move because this guy is my Nosferbro, man. And he's been with me, and we've been promoting this stuff, each other's books forever. And he's a singular talent, a singular visionary in Comicsgate. I can't say it any better than that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well said. Great comment here. Blackjack, who just backed you, Narwhal. I'm backing quality. That's what CG is. Been buying comics for almost 40 years. Haven't bought a Marvel or DC book in 15. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Blackjack. When I worked at Wildstorm in studio from all of 2008 to all of 2010, 3 years, we would get free comics. Everything DC published would be on a table once a week in the back of the office. You could take as much as you wanted. And then I also collected comics for like 20 years, the 20 previous years to that. I don't think I've really bought comics in like the last 10 years. And I collected them since I was 13. I'm 44. In the last decade, I haven't really bought many comic books. And really in the last 5 years, I haven't bought almost any off the rack, like 22-page comics. I have bought like art books. Like I really like this artist or that. And it's a collection of their, black and white, like artist edition. But the mainstream has nothing to offer normal people. It's an echo chamber of a bunch of weirdos who, in my unprofessional, not a psychologist, not a doctor, in my unprofessional opinion, need mental help. That is not a diagnosis. I'm not qualified to do that. But my goodness, it's terrible, the work coming out. So much of it.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, this kind of book, if this was my first book, wouldn't necessarily be a good call to do that, to do a short story collection, to jump on the scene with an anthology kind of thing.
Right.
But it's a little bit, it separates itself from your average like Kickstarter anthology, because this is very curated and it's all me. And there's a timeline to it that I particularly kind of enjoy, where, there's short stories from 7-8 years ago. There's short stories from a week ago. And it's a little bit in chronological order, but there is like a little bit of a meta narrative to it. There is, within the stories, there's some recurring characters popping up in multiple stories, some overlaps that people will enjoy that aspect of it as well. And what Gabe was saying earlier is like, I kind of can't help myself. Like I'm working on some Earthbound stuff. That's kind of my bread and butter, maybe my one that people know me the most for and has gotten the most positive response. It's the highest crowdfund I've done so far. But I'm working on those. I'm going to have some Earthbound stuff next year. But in the meantime, I'm like, I want to release these short stories. I got my next book after this is a talking dog detective story book.
Of course it is.
Yeah. So I can't help it really. It's almost like accidental. I don't really think about it, but yeah.
No, it's pure creativity. That's the beauty of what we're doing here. What I like about this anthology, and I'm about to back it in a second here. It reminds me of a good buffet. You go to the restaurant and it's a high quality buffet. We've all been to the not so great buffets. When a buffet is a weird concept. Let's separate this from the book for a minute. you pay whatever dollars to go to the buffet, and then stupidly, a lot of us are like, now I got to eat a lot to get my money's worth. And it's like, wait a minute, you're going to leave here feeling sick? That's what you paid to do? Like, I don't know. But
yeah.
I didn't realize the stream was going to get too judgy, honestly, Gabe. So I've got it. No. But Sean is at that dollar buffet going, hell yeah.
Hey, so Narwhal, Sean, either one of you can go first. You're in the buffet. Let's assume it's a good buffet, one of the nicer buffets in Vegas or somewhere. Where are you heading first? You go into the pasta, you go into the meat station, you go into dessert first. Where are you headed first?
Not even a question.
Yeah, I go to dessert first. Ice cream.
Right to the ice cream. All right. Are you going to get breakfast in the middle of the day? Do you do that?
I would definitely do that. I like breakfast food the most for sure. And I usually skip it in regular times. So I'll definitely eat it for special occasions.
Will you reach in there and take sushi off a buffet of untold origins? Who knows how long that fish has been sitting there? I think I really shaded that question when I asked it.
Yeah. I would not. I think I might avoid it. Yeah, I'd be scared.
Okay. All right. Sean?
Man, my attitude is next time I go to a buffet, man, I'm going with you because you know all the fly spots. So whatever you grab, I'm just going to be getting that.
All right. A lot of meat coming your way.
Yeah, damn right, man. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing too. Like when I go someplace and they're just like, they've got a steak there and they're just like cutting slices off of the thing. It's just like, you know, it's like, I mean, come on, man. I got to say this too, because we got this up on the screen. Narwhal, can you talk about this story? I know you talked about it on my stream and you've talked about it before on other streams. I'm really excited about this short story in here. It's freaking gorgeous.
Yeah.
We got the cave slave. Yeah. That one's written by Vaughn, and it's kind of a little bit of a funny story because Vaughn, he went full-time writer maybe like a year ago or 6 months ago. And he's like, so he messaged me. He's like, if you want me to write something for you, let me know. I'm full-time writer now. I was like, definitely write me something. And he's like, what do you want? And I'm like, I don't know, like maybe a caveman one shot. And he's like, what about something called Cave Slave, about a hot cave woman? And I was like, yeah, let's do it, man. So then he wrote it and I'm like, he's like, it's just a first draft. Let me know. And I'm like, it's perfect. So I take it. And then it's kind of like, we both feel like this is like a kind of solid IP. And I kind of got it essentially for pennies. So if this does blow up, I got to not forget Vaughn basically, because I kind of just bought it and he turned in some gold. But then worked with Donald DeLay on the art, and he and I kind of collaborate on the art in kind of interesting ways, a little more collagey, like some of the girl, I draw her on some of the panels, and I'm coloring it. And it's just a fun 20-page action one-shot hot cave woman story kind of.
Very cool. There was a question in the chat about another one of your stories from the great How to Draw Comics by Dan Lawless. He still hasn't answered the question how you draw them. I mean, he's answered with his actions, but I'd like a thorough explanation, Dan. Your opinion. Narwhal, I'm curious about the monkeys with typewriter story. There's a cosmological questions in that. So
I think I know what you're talking about, Dan. And I think it jumps in. There is a lot of that there that's kind of fun. It's like, because the way you're trying to represent it as a metaphor in the story, some of the same still kind of working out, but I was calling it the grand elevator, where the monkeys are on this like plane of existence basically, and there's an elevator, and if you go down one floor, nobody really knows, but they kind of suspect Earth is below, and if you go up, they don't really know, but they suspect maybe like heaven, and you can never go up, like you can only go down. So maybe an angel might visit the monkeys, but the monkeys can never visit the angels, and the monkeys can visit humans, but humans can never visit the monkeys. And so that's all I got so far with it. But it's like you could kind of superimpose that over a human brain. So there's like 3 tiers of the human brain. The bottom level is earthly human. Middle level is like this monkey AI weird. It could be represented by creativity. And above that is like heavenly, where it's a little bit more mysterious. The higher you go. So there's some of that in the story, I think, which is kind of fun. But
that's awesome, man. Yeah, I was fascinated when you started explaining that about the monkeys. knowing that they're going to end up hating humanity and trying to head that off at the past. That's fascinating. That is really neat to see morality play out in stories. And again, to inspire people, to teach people. It's really fun to share with them what you've observed about life. You could be wrong, you could be right, but you're sharing what you think the truth is as far as you can see it to this point.
Yeah, you definitely, it's about monkeys, but it's like there's a lot of me in that story. And I was thinking in that story that a big part of this question is, it's, would you, if you like become aware that you're created, would you love your creator or hate your creator? And different people react differently. Obviously, I feel like the correct answer is to love your creator. And that, there's a huge overlap metaphor with that, with monkeys to humans and humans to God. And so I don't know, where was I going with that? Oh, but so the monkeys talk about their creator when they kind of figure it out after like 10 million years, because they have like the pre-known era and the known era in their like timeline. So they kind of catch on like, oh, we were created by humans. And I need like a image to represent humans. And I was thinking about just putting like a photo of me in the comic. And that could be like kind of like meta a little bit.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, meta, because those characters, you literally created them. That's very interesting. Oh, super chat. I got to honor this, of course. A Hero's Path for $5. Thank you very much, friend. Very generous of you. Hey, Gabe, congrats on Isom success. Which Isom character was most challenging to color? And Mark Brooks' new nickname is Babbling Brooks. Ooh, I like Babbling Brooks. I like Whittle Markey myself. That's what I tend to call him. But I will evaluate Babbling Brooks. That's not bad at all. As for which character is hardest to color, none of them. Coloring is coloring. Maybe some character has a more detailed uniform and it'll take longer. That doesn't mean it's harder, though. When I'm coloring, when I'm thinking about color, I'm really thinking about storytelling first. And so that makes the choices for me with value and composition, all that. And then I'm thinking about, after that, I might think about the specific character. But to me, storytelling is king among all the things I could consider. So none of them are harder because they're all just shapes on the page. And you have to honor the shapes to honor the storytelling. You honor what the shapes are trying to accomplish to convey the moment, the motion, the depth, and the emotionality to the reader. So really rendering a person and rendering a fire truck, there's no difference. You're just trying to make the color, make the storytelling work. But thank you for the question. Nice. But yeah, Isom, wow, to be involved with the highest, the record-setting, most funded crowdfunded book, I think, ever. I think that's what I've been told. I don't know if that's right, but it's definitely a runaway success.
It is. It definitely is. Yeah.
Yeah. And I am fast at work on issue 2. I already have, I think we have almost half the inks for that done already, and I'm well along in the colors. So we are turn and burn, baby. We delivered the first one. We're going to deliver the second in our series of fake comics that will never be delivered. I love how the haters always said that. It's fake. Eric July and Gabe, they're grifters. This isn't real. They're stealing your money. And that has encouraged the fans to post online the beautiful art. And I'm happy. I was a little nervous before it came out because I'm like, well, I think it's good. The art looks good to me. The story was good to me, but I worked on it. So, of course, I'm biased. But I know now the way SUWs are, if there were problems with this book, they would have annihilated us and dissected it down to the molecule and mocked us and made fun of us. And none of that has happened. The biggest complaint we got was, what is this white line on the cover? And it turns out that's the crease that the printer puts on a square-bound novel to open the cover. So it's literally, there's a crease. All graphic novels have a crease dented into them by probably a little metal roller. And someone was trying to say that was like a printing error. And so that was the only critique I saw of the book, which is a non-critique. So that kind of made me laugh.
Well, Narwhal and I are actually developing a book under our collaborative pen name, which is Derek June, and it's going to be called IZOM, I-Z-O-M, not to be confused. And we're just going to see what happens with that. We have no story, no plot, but we're going to shoot for it because
I have high hopes for that.
Yeah. No, I'm totally in favor of grifting fake books. Please clip that, friends. Please clip that. It's hilarious to me. I told someone, some Twitter troll was trying to mess with us, and I told them the reason that what Eric July and my friends at Comsgate are doing confuses you. And I was being serious. It was insulting, but I was being serious when I told them this. And I told them it's because you've never worked hard and succeeded at anything in your life. So you don't understand what we're doing when you watch us do this. It makes no sense to you. Of course it makes no sense, because you don't know what it feels like, the experience of working hard and succeeding. Of course you think this looks dumb, you know? It's like me listening. It's like me listening to someone speak Chinese. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. That doesn't mean it's not a legitimate language. So us working hard, succeeding, yeah, it doesn't make sense to losers. Of course it doesn't. But here's the beautiful book, Isom. If you haven't backed it, go check that out. Ripaverse Comics. This was a blast to color this thing. Cliff Richards is doing great work. Got some new pencil layouts yesterday. They look fantastic. Volume 2 will be coming. You know, I won't say any dates. That's an illustration by me of the female character that everyone seems to love, Yaira. But I won't say when we're going to finish 2, because Eric hasn't said anything public about that. But it is being worked on fast and furious, guys.
If I could follow up on that real quick. I said if I could follow up on that real quick.
Yes.
Something I wanted to say is that I think the thing that we have to have, you know, some awareness of with regards to why we're seeing these people freak out. I love Jet Jaguar. Hail to you.
Right. Narwhal. That's if Mike Tyson said you guys' name. Narwhal. You know?
Yeah, he'd be like, hey, listen, Narwhal, I want you to know you have a nice plan, but I'm going to punch you in the mouth. But this is the thing, right? Is that in the Killing Joke, and this is the reasoning behind a lot of what you're seeing, is that they talk about this Joker mentality, the Joker's mentality, which is he is the way he is, and he cannot recover because something bad happened to him.
Right.
And he's talking to Batman, a hero who had something tragic happen to him, who made the other choice. And I think the thing that they are, what enrages so many of these people so much, and what's sort of tragic about it, is the fact that they see people who they're convinced, according to their narrative, that they have the things they have because they've never overcome adversity. And when they learn they've came so much adversity that either rivals or buries what they've overcome, then that's sort of a judgment that you can't be a victim anymore.
Right.
And when you're so invested in that role, you have to rage against it. And I really do wish the best for these people. I hope they find whatever it is and they can honestly stop projecting their anger at other people for having, you know, shown them that you can overcome things, that hard work does pay off, and just get to work and stop hating, you know, and let go of that identity of being a victim. It's terrible. It's prison.
There's that saying, the coward dies 1,000 deaths, right? Mm-hmm. Because the mantra of, you know, the narcissist, the SJW, this postmodern culture is very sad. It's a very bleak existence, because when bad things happen to them, they don't have any meter because they're a narcissist, and they think, oh, it happened to them and it's the worst thing that's ever happened. It's like, no, everybody suffers, dude. Horrific things have happened to everyone. Everyone hearing the sound of my voice, you can think of the worst thing that's ever happened in your life, and it's terrible, whatever it is. And I'm not saying bad things happen all the time, every day, to everyone. No. You know, especially here in the West, our lives are generally very good. But to sit there and act like, I had a friend, I won't say anything else about him. I don't want to give his identity. But I had to unfollow him and all that on social media. I didn't block him. I wasn't mean to him. But for years, all he would post is, he got a flat tire. He has to fix the garbage disposal. Yeah, it's like, yeah, he has to, you know, like, do this and he has to do that. And it was just like normal, mundane stuff. But he would have the worst attitude about normal little things going wrong. And it was just like, yeah, dude, you're just living an adult life. Like, why are you so unhinged emotionally that your whole day is ruined because you got a flat tire? It's like, do you think the discount tire exists because only you get flat tires and they're just waiting for you to come in once a year? Like, they have customers lined up all day. Dude, it happens to everyone. And I think if you're just a narcissist and you just think about yourself constantly, you magnify your fears and your problems in your head, and that you make them so much bigger in your own head, and they're not nearly sometimes as big as you make them. And I think there's a lot of undue suffering. I think it was Seneca, the philosopher, said, I'm going to have to paraphrase this, but we do so much more suffering in our minds than in real life. Yeah, that's a paraphrase, but he talked about that. You know, I heard a great guy, Dr. Robert Glover, looked him up. He said, thinking causes anxiety, acting cures it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Going through the hard thing that you know you have to do, the righteous thing, it's so much less scary than just thinking and ruminating on it forever. So
yeah, I've heard people say the paralysis of analysis.
yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a football saying. Football coaches, they lost the game. It was paralysis through analysis. I remember explaining that to my friend Philippe Briones, brilliant Disney animator, DC Comics artist I worked with on Aquaman Forever. And I think we might actually do a CG book in the future. We reconnected. We kind of split up at Christmas. My first CG book was going to be with him. Some things happened, and so we're not doing that now. But we started talking again in July. But he speaks French. He's from France. And I remember trying to tell him paralysis through analysis. And I said, and I finally got him to figure it. I think it's paralyse par analyse or something like that. But it also rhymed in French. That's not correct what I just said, but it was funny how close it was to English. But it took like 10 minutes to explain to him what I was getting at. But once I did, he loved it once I explained that concept to him. So you're totally right. I love that saying, Narwhal.
Gabe, you're friends with a French animator?
You ever seen Tarzan or Atlantis or any of that?
Yeah.
That's who Philippe Briones is. He's a freaking genius. He went to the Gobelin. He went to Gobelin in France, and they accept like the tiny amount of students. He was a lead animator at Disney when he was 23. This man is a genius. He's a good guy. I really love him. He's a good friend of mine. I like him a lot. So
you should definitely work with that guy if you can. I'd be so jealous. That's the French like animation looky kind of style. Because what do they call the French and Belgium albums, comic albums? They call them
bande dessinée.
Yeah. I love that style. And if you do a bande dessinée book, man, I would be so jealous.
Would you like to see some of it? I mean, we had it in the works at Christmas, but things fell through, and we'll get to it later. But I can show you 2 pages of it real quick. I was going to color, and he was going to illustrate.
Oh wow! Look at that. So he drew this.
Yeah, he's like 55 years old now, but he started at Disney when he was like 23. This is Oath of Blood, Oath of Bone. It's fantasy and science fiction. I created a whole world. All these. I'm the writer and the colorist, and he's the illustrator and co-writer, much like I'm doing on Truth, Justice, American Way. And this is our main character here. I won't say anything, and I think we'll do this one day. But here's a story starting off in the fantasy setting of it. He's such a brilliant illustrator. Yeah, Philippe.
That's so good. That's so fun.
And he's a good guy, and we're real friends. Like I signed the legal paperwork for him to have his visa to come to America. I was legally on the hook when he lived here. He moved back to France, and then he moved. I think he's in Canada now. But absolutely, Philippe is a monster illustrator. Love Philippe.
Yep.
So he's very good. And I would love to revisit this with him. And someone just said, that's perfect, doesn't need colors. I think you might actually be right. How would it be to put out Oath of Blood, Oath of Bone as a manga, a digest-sized manga with this art in it? I wonder. It'd be cheaper to print and then cheaper for customers to buy if it was that like 5x7 manga size or whatever. And then maybe let Philippe just do it black and white like this. I don't know.
Yeah, then a faster turnaround too.
Yeah. And then I could just stick to writing and dialogue in it because he's fluent in English like I'm fluent in Spanish. That's not fair. He's better at English than I am at Spanish, I think. But he doesn't want to do the dialogue because English is not his first language. And then living in Canada, he's speaking a lot of French again, So I definitely do the dialogue and the outline of the story. But we collab on the story, and his work is outrageously good. I have a little bit more I can show you really quick. Hold on. I do want to do this with him. I love this story. I love the characters I created, and let's see what else. I said let's see what elf I have. Like a little Mike Tyson there. Here's character concepts. What else do we have? We had some really fun stuff. Let's see. What is all this? Okay, here's some more character concepts. Open this with preview. And it had this. But, and then we have these evil half animal, half human hybrids, in the story. Yeah. This is dope. Think about like, I don't play video games really, but think about like Final Fantasy that's like sci-fi and fantasy. That was this world that we created together for Oath of Blood, Oath of Bone. So you already know where that's coming from emotionally within me when you hear all the things I talk about honoring heritage, standing up for things. conserving things that are beautiful that were built for me by my ancestors. So Oath of Blood, Oath of Bone is not overtly political or anti-left wing, but it definitely talks about bravery and loyalty to family and culture and all that. And it's filled with spectacular art like this. These are our main 4 heroes here. Toby, Veronique, Michael, and Nina. And this is really fun stuff. Really fun stuff. Philippe is a master illustrator. Just a genius, a real genius, this guy.
So I've shared a video down below that I'd love for you to share, because it's sort of the origin of me kind of meeting, so to speak, in a roundabout way, Narwhal. And for everybody, it's one of my favorite things I've made.
Guy special.
Here it is. Yeah,
No, go ahead and finish. I'm just loading it.
I was going to say, it's one of my favorite things I've ever made because, and Narwhal knows what I'm talking about. When you see an artist, and artists have that mutual respect for each other when the work is good and they just sort of have a connection. That's what I felt when I saw Narwhal's work. And this trailer, in many ways, was he had done a trailer, and it's very difficult, I think, for artists sometimes to see themselves in a promotional capacity, to be their own hype man. I mean, it feels a little bit weird. You get better at it with time. But
Right.
I saw this and I said, I could hear music when I was watching it, and I could feel the intensity, and I was going through his pages, and I made this as a response to it. But I think it still holds up today because it's a statement about his work and where he goes in the future. So here you go.
Okay, let's see.
Is this guy special? Is he a genius? Is he a savant? Is he like, what's up? Like, this book, nobody else makes stuff like this. I've never read a comic like this ever.
I read it and I got done and I was like, oh man, that went by quick.
It's really immersive. It really pulls you into the world.
Totally forgot how many pages it is. I think it's like 136. I read this in one sitting.
This book should be so critically acclaimed. It's really that good.
20 years ago, this would have come out from one of the big publishers, and it would have been celebrated everywhere as this groundbreaking achievement in comic book storytelling.
To me, this is the biggest discovery of crowdfunding.
Yeah, I can vouch for those. I have both of the Earthbound books, and I think they're absolutely great. So
yeah,
absolutely good. So Narwhal, I want everyone to check out Earthbound. Please check that out, guys. Hold on a second. I'm trying to do something here.
Yes, and back this
anthology. I'm enjoying seeing you guys work. I'm kind of studying your moves a little bit.
Oh, studying our, it sounded like an old school kung fu movie. I'm studying your moves. You know what I mean?
That's like, isn't that a line in Patton where he holds it, goes, I read your book.
Right. Right. Oh,
that's awesome.
All right. Well, make us one final recommendation of what the customers are going to get when they back this fantastic. I just love that it's a buffet of just all kinds of different morsels, different ideas, different pacing, different artwork, different colors, but all of it quality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is not the $3 in the morning $1.99 buffet on the Vegas Strip. This is the $70 a head Bacchanal buffet at Caesar's Palace, baby.
Yeah,
this is good stuff.
It's 2 books, so there's the color collection and the black and white collection. And the black and white one it's called the B-sides, and it's like a little more experimental and like kind of fun and weird, and like there's some of the cool Earthbound shorts are in that one. So there is some like high profile stuff in that one. But the color one is like fully curated, like super strong to try and like, I'm hoping it's not going to be like an anthology where people are like, I really like one and it's worth the price of admission for this one, but the rest of them are just okay. Like, I'm hoping people will love every single story, and then it'll kind of blow their minds because they'll be like, I don't know if I've ever read an anthology where I liked every single story. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Right. Well, I can tell you, I have Earthbound 1 and 2 by Narwhal. Total quality, groundbreaking stuff. I think one thing I told you this when I met you, like when we first started talking, the thing I like about your art that I find so admirable that I'm trying to infuse into mine all the time is a fearlessness with your craft. You are, because a lot of people, if you're out there and you're not an artist and you don't make art, what you don't know is so many artists are terrified and bound by expectation of their peers and of the market. Well, if I draw it this way, they'll say I was lazy and I didn't draw enough laces on the boots, or I didn't do this, or I told the story this way. And what I like about Narwhal, what I see, I mean, you don't worry about what people say. You watch what they do. And what he does, he just tells the stories that he believes in, that he wants to tell. And that is a fearlessness a lot of artists don't have. And that's what drew me to you right away. That's why I invited you on here. Not a year ago, but quite a long time ago. I invited you on here to promote your books because I'm like, this is what we need in art. We need people speaking just truly about how they feel about art and stuff. And I think that's amazing. Thanks. So you guys, you can't go wrong getting this book. This is a fantastic book. Please back it out. The link is in the description. You will love this.
And real quick on that too, like when I started Earthbound, I was 30 and I was like, I need to start a longer project or else I don't want to be 40 and not have something to my name, some meaningful works. Because up until that point, I had done a lot of short comics, written a lot of scripts, but I hadn't done anything that I would think is super meaningful. So I was like, all right, I got to do this. And I was thinking like, it's so intimidating. It's like, oh, I have to design a whole world. I have to design 20 characters. I have to do all this stuff. I have to do cinematic, think about it cinematically and get these pages in order and everything. And I was like, okay, like F all that. And so I'm like, I do a drawing. I'm like, that's Spaceman. I'm like, I'm not even character designing. I'm just drawing them once and we're going with it. Cause I can't handle all that stuff. It was too intimidating. So I just like, tunnel vision, jumped in, and it had this like, F it mentality, but F it, I'm going to do it no matter what. I don't care kind of thing. And that's what allowed me to actually like get it started. And then there was a lot of editing to kind of polish it as I went and stuff. But so the energy's there for that book that people did respond to, I think.
All right. Well, very good. So guys, if you get this, you're going to get quality entertainment that will, inspire you about life. It'll also inspire you probably to make your own art. And I think art is something everyone should be making. Even if you don't have great skill, that doesn't mean you don't have something to say. And the longer you work on saying it, your skills will catch up. You know what I mean? As long as you're consistent, It's like anyone could go to the gym and build some muscle. You're not going to be strong on the first day. Nobody cares. The first day's come and gone. So I would encourage you to get art like this. Get art like what Shanta's doing. Get art like what I'm doing with David Williams on Truth, Justice, American Way. And be inspired. Be a part of it too if you're so inclined. I love this stuff. What is your excuse for this? Putting your feet on the dolly there, and it looks like a kitchen or something. Is this you working at like Buffalo Wild Wings or something, or what's going on here?
Yeah, I'm lucky I didn't get caught there. That's the Fred Meyer Deli. I brought my mask into work and snuck it on and had my coworker take a picture real fast. You can see the guy in the background is kind of funny. He's like, what the hell?
Yeah, he's like, he's just got that stunned. Barrett X says he wrote a novel. It's coming out this month. Congratulations, Barrett X. Nice. And no matter how it does, Barrett, good, bad, whatever, write another one and write another one and never stop. And don't let people tell you to get a real job or whatever. No, never stop. Keep doing it. So I think that's it for us. I really, really would love it if you guys would pick up this great book and all of Narwhal's books. He's earned your support. He's not entitled to anything. None of us are, but we're working hard to earn it. Your money, I know. The economy, I know. Gas is almost $7 a gallon here in California. I know. We're not trying to waste your money. We want your support and we want to earn it. And I think Narwhal earns it every freaking day. So thank you guys very much for joining us. Okay. And I will leave you all. You got anything you want to say, Mr. Shant? Sorry, I don't want to leave you out.
No, you've said it all, man. Back this book, guys.
All right. We'll leave you with a salute to America's hat. Canada.
About families. The biggest, most important economic policy this government, if reelected, would move forward. You'll forgive me.
All right. Have a great day, folks. Hit the like, share the link, and we love you. We'll talk to you later. Bye.